When Tokyo Olympics 2021 bronze medalist Lovlina took to social media and claimed that she was going through mental harassment due to her personal coach not being allowed in to the Commonwealth Games village at Birmingham 2022, few could actually have seen the kind of chaos that would ensue in the aftermath. When her social media post first hit, there was generally speaking a bit of sympathy for her. However, as time has gone on and as the situation in Birmingham has unfolded, many have been left scratching their head at the kind of hole that the Indian contingent and the boxing contingent in particular have dug themselves into yet again. Hello everyone, welcome to Sports Today. My name is Shane Dias and today we are going to be looking at the curious case of how Lovlina, the Tokyo Olympics bronze medalist in boxing, ended up managing to get her personal coach in at the expense of two other people who already had accreditation and were staying in the Commonwealth Games village. Now, before we go into the current situation the way it is of course important to look at where the entire situation started, and of course it started as things in 2022 usually do, on social media. Lovlina took to social media and she posted a very long post on her Instagram and her Twitter where she said very clearly that she felt like she was being mentally harassed by Indian officials due to the simple fact that her personal coach, whom she said had trained her to glory at the Olympics, was not being allowed into the Commonwealth Games village. Now, of course, why that is the case is something that we will come to later on, but suffice to say that when the post first came out, there was generally speaking a lot of sympathy for Lovlina, generally speaking, because that generally is how it is in this country. We are very pro-athlete when it comes to such matters, and it's not the most unimaginable thing in the world to understand that one of our star athletes is being mistreated by the federation. Naturally, the fact that she went public on social media with these grievances led to there being some action taken by not only the Sports Authority of India but also the Ministry of Sports and government officials as well. Sports Minister Anurag Thakur was one of many people who actually smoothed things over with the required authorities at Birmingham, and in the end her personal coach was given accreditation to be a part of the Commonwealth Games village. Naturally, this is something that Lovlina was pretty pleased about, and she even went on social media and thanked all of the parties involved. She said very clearly that I'm very grateful that they took prompt action in my case, and that my personal coach will be there, and that she has Commonwealth Games village accred, very grateful. And so it was a very heartfelt message, and obviously again you can understand the situation. She felt that this was something that would best prepare her for a medal run at Birmingham, and obviously she was very, very pleased at the fact that she ended up getting her wish. After all, she is, of course, you have to remember, an Olympic medalist, so naturally she would feel that there would be some degree of personal request that she can make from the higher ups and that they would be acquiesced to. However, managing or being able to accommodate her personal coach has led to quite a little bit of chaos, because now you have to understand that one of the reasons why we've taken so long to actually discuss this is because there was some degree of ambiguity over whose accred ended up being exchanged for Lovlina's personal coach. At first, there was some debate over whether it would be the head coach of the Indian boxing team or whether or not it would be the team doctor. Well, as news is broken, it's turned out that both of these people, yes, you heard that right, not just only the team doctor, but also the team's head coach, have in fact moved out of the Commonwealth Games village. In fact, why there was a confusion first off was because Bhaskar Bhatt, who is the team's women's team's coach, said very clearly on record told the Press Trust of India, which is of course PTI, a news agency, said that he'd moved to a hotel which is of course just a 10-minute walk from the village itself, and he has all the access, so it's not a problem. What's more, he had also said that we came to this decision, and that I came to this decision and I voluntarily gave up my accred, and we did so because we wanted this to be an in-house solution and we wanted to solve this matter among ourselves rather than bring in the authorities or the concerned authorities and try and make things worse. Why exactly he said that is again something we'll come to in just a bit, but to then make things worse, it has turned out that the team doctor, who was initially first reported that he would be forced to give up his accredit, has now also moved out of the Commonwealth Games village. In fact, the doctors will now be staying in a hotel, and of course he will be available for the athletes all day through training. But there are some concerns as to whether or not, or why is it that the doctor will not be available for the athletes. Of course, you have to remember that boxing is the kind of contact sports where injuries are very, very common, and it can often require overnight or consistent care for an athlete to go out there and perform. Who can forget when during the Tokyo Olympics, heavyweight boxer Satish Kumar ended up going out to box 13 stitches in his face. One of the reasons that he was even able to make it out there was due to the fact that the team doctor was there to take care of him. In this case, there's not going to be doctors for the Indian team specifically, but there will be doctors ringside. Of course, they will be provided by the organizing authorities for the Commonwealth Games. But it's still not the prettiest of situations, because, well, you can understand, and to understand why exactly such compromises needed to be made, it is important to understand how exactly the process of accreditation works, and that's something that we're going to go over now. So the first point that's very important to note is that India, or the Indian boxing contingent, had an allocation of only 4 accreditations for support staff. Why that's the case is because in the rules it is said very clearly that a team can only have 33% of the strength of the overall contingent to be there as officially accredited support staff. Now, there are 12 Indian boxers, and if you go by that, 33% of 12 is, well, 4, which is why they had accredit for only 4 support staff to begin with. However, they ended up taking permission from the organizers. The Indian contingent and the IOA did end up taking permission from the organizers to get that quota increased. First, it was increased to 6 support staff, and then it was increased to 8 support staff. So, as things stand, the Indians are currently carrying double the number of accredited support staff that they are allowed to technically carry by the rules. They've gotten permission to do that. Despite that, there is no space for either a head coach or a doctor to be present in the Commonwealth Games village. So both of them are taking separate accommodation, and they will have accredit. It just won't be the kind of accredit that will allow them to reside in the Commonwealth Games village. They will be able to have access during the day and during the certain part time till night, but they will have to leave the village because their actual accommodation is not going to be in the village. And what's more, for the team doctor, the real concerning thing is that the doctors will not be allowed to accompany athletes during events. So if any Indian boxer actually ends up picking up an injury, they will be reliant on the doctors provided by the organizers to treat them and will not have their own doctor. Now, as for the entire situation, as I said, it is a little bit of a mess, because on one hand you can understand that Lovlina wanted her personal coach there because this coach is someone who knows how to work with her and she has a comfort level working with. That's a fair enough demand. However, when you look at the kind of strain that the IOA actually had to go through when it comes to organizing the number of accredits that they did, and then doing the kind of accommodations at the last minute just for this personal coach, it does seem to be a little bit too much of a headache for something that could have been avoided. Obviously, it's not ideal, and doubtless the hope will be that with all the pains that has gone into bringing Lovlina's personal coach into the Commonwealth Games village at the expense of a head coach as well as the personal doctor, that Lovlina can actually talk the walk and go on to win a medal. In fact, ideally a gold medal in such circumstances, considering that she has what she would consider her best preparations for the event. However, whether or not the chaos that ensued there for this particular one little demand would have done the team any good at this point is subject to debate. Thank you all so much for joining us for this particular video. If you enjoy what it is that we at Sports Today do, please don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, drop us a comment. Do you think Lovlina was being reasonable, or do you think this is a step too far when it comes to accommodations for star athletes? Do let us know. Last but not least, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon so that you know every single time it is we're going live or uploading a new video for you guys. Thank you once again for joining us. As always, I've been Shane Rice, and I will be joining you all again very, very soon. Bye-bye for now.